It's gonna be this way.
Swim so free.
A Capitol Hill to
Soccer bopper.
When I wake up in the morning and the alarm gets out of warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time. By the time I grab my books and I give myself a look, I'm at the corner just in time to see the bus fly by. It's alright, cause I'm saved by the bell. If the teacher pops a test, I know I'm in a mess, and my dog ate all my homework last night. Riding low on my chair, she won't know that I'm there. If I can hand it in tomorrow, it'll be alright. It's alright, cause I'm saved by the bell.
Alright. I love that guitar solo, man.
It's pretty sweet.
What's up? This is episode 16 of Tune In Next Week, and this is the podcast where we break down TV shows from the post-baby boom era for you wonderful, fantastic people that tune into us. Speaking of fantastic people, Brian, how are you, sir?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I feel rejuvenated, invigorated even.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And hey, this is John. This is Brian here. We're feeling good. We're doing one of our all-time favorite shows, Saved by the Bell, right from the late 80s and early 90s. And I got to say, man, this I've been looking forward to doing this show for so long.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite shows. I've got a love-hate relationship with this show.
Really?
Yeah. It's one of those shows that I love to watch, but I hate the ridiculous antics, the plot holes, the relative sloppiness of the writing.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see what you mean by that. I mean, sometimes there's plot holes all over the place. I've got a big plot hole at the end of this episode we just did, today. But but honestly, it's all worth it to me. So I think we got to talk some business. What do you think?
I think it's business time already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? Right. So, not that big. I genuinely didn't mean to hit that one. All right, let's talk some business here. All right, so we just wanted to give a quick shout out to JB Recording. That's actually the recording studio where we actually record these podcasts for you wonderful people. So visit www.jbrecording.com if you need a recording studio for any music production needs. As far as connecting with us here, we are on Tumblr, our main base of operations here, tunein-nextweek.tumblr.com. We're on Twitter, tunein_nextweek. Instagram, tunein_nextweek. We are on the TuneIn app as well. If you like to listen to internet radio, it's a good place to go to listen to that. But you can also tune in to us on TuneIn app. Let's see. What else? iTunes, of course.
iTunes, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, JB Recordings, TuneIn.
Just tune in to Tune In Next Week.
The TuneIn site.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I think we got everything. So that's awesome. Nice quick little business wrap up there. But now that we got that taken care of, what do you say we jump into like our plot synopsis?
Well, we don't even let's talk about what we're watching.
Hey, absolutely.
It's Saved by the Bell, obviously. The episode in question is Save the Max. It is season 2, episode 3. If you're going by a particular order,
right?
So there's a little bit of discrepancy in what season this really is. If you're including the original series, Good Morning Miss Bliss, that became Saved by the Bell, then this would be season 3.
Okay. If
you're going by Netflix order, or
no, Netflix has this as season 3, episode 3,
because it's including Miss Bliss.
Right, but is it that, or is it just because Netflix will sometimes do collections? Because I noticed that with some other shows that I watch, they don't advertise them as seasons; they advertise them as like collections.
That's not something that I'm familiar with.
Okay, but either way, it is slightly different. But if it's on Netflix, It's going to be season 3, episode 3. IMDb and just about everywhere else, it is season 2, episode 3. Name of the show is Save the Max. Original air date was September 22nd, 1990. And you can watch this on Netflix, YouTube, iTunes, Amazon Video, or Hulu.
Vudu as well. Did you mention Vudu?
I didn't, but you can also get it on Vudu.
Yeah, Vudu's coming up in some of the content they have to offer.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I just showed this to you tonight, but apparently now Google will tell you where you can watch something if you search for it. Like I put in a search for Saved by the Bell episode 3 season 2, and it actually showed me a list of all the places where I could see it, so which we didn't even know about, so that's kind of funny.
That only works for desktop or laptop versions. Doesn't work for mobile.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. This particular episode directed by Don Barnhart, and it was written by Gary Goldstein.
Okay.
The show itself was Miss Bliss and everything else, all based off of the creation of Sam Bobrick.
Okay. And Saved by the Bell itself, Saved by the Bell proper, ran from 1989 to 1993, 86 episodes, and 126 if you include all the spin-offs. And I feel like this is probably... I don't know, what do you think about this? But I think this is the most spun-off show that I've seen. Because Saved by the Bell itself was a spin-off of Good Morning Miss Bliss. Then there were some other spin-off shows that came after the regular Saved by the Bell, like the college years and the vacation years and the Vegas years or whatever it was.
Yeah, this is probably the most spun-off show that we've done to this point, unless
we're talking about 90210.
Yeah, 90210 had its spin-off of Melrose Place. Cheers had its spin-off of Frasier. Perfect Strangers had its spin-off of Family Matters.
Right. But I feel like this one had more spin-offs.
If you want to... That theory that we talked about last time about Night Court, if you want to count that, that's a potential third spin-off of Cheers.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, really what it comes down to officially... This Saved by the Bell show is probably the most spun-off show if you count the Good Morning Miss Bliss, college years, and all related.
Right.
That's all I have to say about that.
Cool. All right, so shall we jump into a plot synopsis?
I think this is a good time to talk about that.
Okay. Well, we've basically goes a little something like this. The gang unearths Bayside's old-school radio station and begins broadcasting again before learning that the Max is to be closed if Max does not manage to pay $10,000 in back rent.
There's a lot to discuss here.
Yeah.
But do you want to just jump into the episode?
I'm thinking, yeah, we have to jump right in. You know, we did not have a cold open. We just go right to that intro theme song. Now, I've got to ask, there is another version of this theme song out there, correct?
Yes, and you can see that in like season 3-ish. Well, it's kind of sprinkled throughout some of the seasons, some of the earlier seasons anyway.
Right.
Where you'll have the same lyrics, but it's a different arrangement, different dude.
I feel like it's just a different singer. I think everything else is the same because it starts out, you know, just like the other one does. You know, and this
is the good one.
Yeah, this is the good one, but it's just a different singer.
Yeah, I don't like the other one too. It throws me off when I watch it.
I don't either. Yeah, it to me it doesn't feel authentic enough.
I'll give you authentic. It's just
you know, and
not right.
Yeah, and I made a note here like. These guys, when they were in the studio recording this, they seemed like they were just having a blast. They were just jamming out on this. Because, like, you know, that's a serious, like, just a awesome guitar solo with lots of, like, soul in that guitar solo. Plus, like, even the bass players throwing in little tasty licks here and there. You know, I feel like it wasn't just, like, session players that showed up to play a gig, you know, like, oh, what are we doing today? Oh, we're doing a theme song to some teen show. You know, it was like... It's like, yeah, these guys are, you know, they're going to play this little jingle called Saved by the Bell, and they just rocked the hell out of it.
To me, the opening credits are so visually stimulating that I don't really pay attention beyond the lyrics and the guitar solo.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's because I'm looking at the clip art that's floating around, the weird,
The multicolored snow in the background.
the squiggles, the animation. It's just like an epileptic's nightmare.
Great kick-ass theme song. So now we wind up in the basement. Now, I don't know about you, but my high school, the basement consisted of a locker room and a little tiny storage room that no kids were allowed to go into. So why the hell are these two kids wandering around the school basement?
Well, based off of the dialogue, Zack was... Wait, did Zack and Screech was bringing Zack down here, but
Right.
Screech's first time down here was being dumped through a trash chute by a bully, and this is how he found this area. So he was dumped into a trash chute.
Right, but
and then-
the trash chute was nowhere near this room. And this room, if you know, which we find out is Bayside's old radio station, and this room looked like it was kept relatively clean,
Yes.
with the exception of just these white drapes that are hanging over all the stuff, like your parents might drape over your house stuff if you're going away for like a month or a year or something.
Right.
You know, it just very weird way to store a radio station.
So Zack and Screech... Oh, Screech brings Zack down to this basement room, and it's a pretty wide open room. It's kind of hard to miss based off of the hallway outside, and it looks like they just kind of come in here, and they kind of look around. They uncover all of the surfaces. There's posters up all over the wall, still hung up. They uncover some shelving. There's vinyl records still in there. Everything is still pretty much intact, just not plugged into any electricity.
Right, and it's as if it had been used like yesterday.
So we're in this recording studio right now. It's as if we take blankets, put blankets over everything, unplug everything, and walk out.
Right, which, you know, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but, you know, when you find out about the history of this radio station and how it got shut down.
Shut down. That's the operative word here. It was shut down.
Right, so presumably, you know, this school could have used this space for something else, you know, but instead they didn't take the gear down, they didn't put it away, they didn't protect it. All they did was drape white cloths over it and then forget about it for 30 years.
They pretty much said, you're not allowed to use the radio station anymore. Get out.
Right.
So
and
they
then,
unplugged, covered up, and walked out, and nothing more was said or done with it.
and the room just sat there unused with the door wide open. I don't even remember seeing
I don't think there was a door on there. I
There
think
was
just
a doorway.
There's a doorway, yeah.
Right. So it's like, did they really expect people not to walk in there and want to know what all this crap was underneath the white linens? Who knows? But so Zack is like, okay, well, you know, let's see if we can do something with this. And he sits down and tries his best to be like a, you know, radio DJ, and he, you know, sounds pretty shitty to begin with. And Screech finds this plug and he just plugs it in, and of course, stereotypical, you know, slapstick humor. Screech winds up with this big afro like he got a mega electrocution, you know, and like the whole lights dim and everything, just like someone got electrocuted in a like prison electric chair. And you know, Screech is like, oh, I think it works. And, you know, all of a sudden everything just powers on, you know, much like you said, like they just unplugged it and walked out of the room. And then nothing happened for 30 years or however long the stuff sat there. And they just went back and they plugged it in and kept on working just like nothing. That's a mega plot hole for me.
One of the things I take issue with is the inexplicable laughs during dialogue, during just the scene in general. Zack uncovers everything, sits down. Hey, this is Zack Morris. I'm being your DJ. Blah 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 blah. So he does his whatever he says, and Screech. The camera pans over to Screech, and Screech says, "Cool," and then laugh track.
Yeah,
it was that wasn't funny.
Now, was
Screech's reaction shot was not funny in the slightest.
Was this a live studio audience, or was it fake laughter?
I don't believe it was a live studio audience. I believe it was all laugh track.
The laughter sounded fake. when it was there.
Likely because it was fake, but the choices of when the laugh track goes off pisses me off. That's not funny. Like, I understand the laugh track for when Zack makes a quip and makes a joke. Exactly. That was as misplaced here as it was in the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, you know, if it was a studio audience, they might have had the day off and they used a pre-recorded laugh for this episode because it didn't fit at all.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just randomly insert laughs here and there.
I would not be opposed to that. As
parts that weren't funny.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. So anyway, now we get this equipment powered on, and of course Zack is like, you know, obviously being all devious. He's like, well, we got to do something with this. So next thing you see, everybody's in Belding's office, right? And Zack is like, hey, we want to put KKTY back on the air. Belding's like, no. And then all he does is him and his cronies convince Belding to do it. And they've got Belding wrapped around their little fingers.
Yeah, Zack starts
and I
off.
take issue with that.
Zack starts off asking about the radio station as if he doesn't know there's a radio station. Hey, Belding, has there ever been a radio station at the school? And Belding just goes into it like...
Sorry, go ahead.
And Belding just goes into the history of this radio station, and that's... Man, that laugh track.
It's distracting, even when you're watching the show.
So shows that have live studio audiences, you'll see actors deliver lines and they'll pause,
right?
What to account for a laugh break,
right?
But these actors on this show just deliver lines, and I guess the producer or whoever or director will just put in a laugh track where they think there's supposed to be a joke.
Right.
And the actors will just continue on delivering their lines, and you can't even hear all the dialogue sometimes because there's the laugh track.
Right, or there's the woos, you know, like if somebody sexy comes out, woo, you know, but like they just keep. You're absolutely right. They just keep on delivering their lines because there probably was no laugh track when they were recording it. When they were shooting it, there was no kind of laughter or anything like that, and they said, "Oh, well, we're going to add the laughter later in post," you know. So they had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
But, so of course, Belding is like, no, I'm not interested I'm not doing this. And then they just start, you know, talking to him. And they find out that Belding was like the big DJ back when he was, in that school. And of course, you know, I love when they do the little flashbacks. And Belding looks exactly the same, except wearing a fake wig and fake mustache. And it's supposed to be 1960s, but it looks like it was just shot 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, and there's a nice pink border around the frame of the shot, so you know that it's a flashback.
Of course, and the pink border makes it totally legit. And I love the fact that Belding playing the music there. The music sounds so horribly cheesy. You know, music back in the 1960s was so much better than what he was playing on that radio station. And I know it probably has something to do with the producers of Saved by the Bell not wanting to bother with royalties or anything like that. So instead of them licensing tracks from that era to have Belding play and whatnot, they just had some, you know, group of studio musicians play some stock music that they would you know, drop in, but it's the same stock music that gets used in so many different episodes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't really blame them. This is a Saturday morning TV show with low production value.
Sure, but there are other shows where music, either covers are used or they do pay for the music licenses. Like the one prom episode where I think Zack and Kelly break up. That song, I think it's...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
How Am I Supposed to Live Without You?
Yes.
That song is in there. They had to pay some kind of royalty to use that or license to use it. At the end of this episode, towards the end of this episode, when that song comes on, it's like, I need your money, I need your love, you know. They got a cover performance of it, but they had to pay some kind of licensing fee. So
is that a real song? That's a legit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I could look it up for you.
I believe you. It's just it's not a song I recognize.
Yeah, it's some classic rock song, but anyway, not to get too far off tangent. I just think the stock music or the music editing could have been better, but so anyway,
I think the whole show could have been better.
Well, yeah. I agree with you so much. I played 2 sound effects, one that works and one that's completely irrelevant.
That was worthy of a laugh track.
I know, right? Okay, so
Well, so yeah, the kids ask Belding to put the station back on. Slater comes over and talks to Belding, and you can't help but notice Slater in his tank top, big beefy arms, and he's wearing high-waisted, acid-washed, pleated jeans.
which he wears all the time.
I love these jeans.
That's like the
love
Slater.
these jeans.
That is the Slater uniform right there.
Yeah, tank top and pleated jeans.
Right, because he's got to show off. Mario Lopez has to show off his muscles, and of course Slater's got the mullet.
The mullet.
We cannot forego mentioning Slater's mullet.
The mullet, the dimples, the the goddamn pleated jeans.
Yeah, yeah.
With an elastic band.
Yeah, elastic jeans. I cannot remember the last time I saw elastic jeans with an elastic waist.
I can. My brother's got a pair.
Oh God.
He kind of wears them like sweatpants, but they're like jeans, but they're like the jeans you don't really wear out
Right.
in public. You just wear them at home.
The jeans that you wear around the house when you're waiting for the cable repairman. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so Belding's like, okay, fine, I'll let you put it on the air. And of course, they just convince him by chanting. They found out that he was called the Big Bopper, so they're like bopper, 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 and he's like, okay. So yeah, like I would have loved to have had my principal wrapped around my finger when I was in high school. It's like, hey, Principal XYZ, can I knock him into school tomorrow but still get like an A on my test? No, please. Okay. The Belding has no balls.
No, he is a pushover, but they do play on his soft spots.
Oh yeah.
It's
completely.
All right.
So yeah, they do play on Belding's soft side, you're right. But I mean, Belding is way too much of a pushover to be a principal.
Yeah, he does not deserve that position.
Right.
There should be a revolt.
Yeah,
get him out of power.
So, okay, random segue. Who would be a better principal for Bayside?
Based off of the show?
Based off the show, based on the fact that, the principal has to be likable, but also should be a little bit firmer fisted, should have a little more, authority, but also still be a likable guy. Like from all the shows we've seen before, who do you think would be a better fit for the principalship?
Are you restricting this to shows that we've seen so far,
Yes.
or just shows that
we've seen so far?
Oh, well, goddamn. I would have to say Danny Tanner.
Interesting.
I'd have to say Danny Tanner. He's serious enough, but is flexible enough if he's pleaded with, that he would be an appropriate teacher. I would not put the coach from Cheers in charge. Frasier has no business teaching high school children.
Frasier would not be comfortable around the kids, nor do I think the kids would be comfortable around him.
I was just going to say Blanche from the Golden Girls would sleep with all the seniors. Not appropriate.
Or the teachers, yeah.
Yes, or
Right.
the other teachers.
I would actually go with Carl Winslow.
Carl Winslow would be a good choice as well.
Because he's kind of got that lovable fatherly figure, but he's a cop, so he knows how to be, authoritative, and he knows how to lay down the law, but he can still be a softie.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would be as much of a softie as Richard Belding.
Right.
The crowd disagrees. I don't know why I hit the wrong button.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, that just kind of came to me.
Out of every show we've seen up to this point, for me, I would say Danny Tanner is probably the best one.
Yeah, and I say Carl Winslow.
We're at the max, and Zack is passing out segments.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that because it was just kind of a connecting scene. But
Well, it's important because it establishes Max, the owner of the Max, is in dire straits financially.
oh, is that when they say that? I thought there was a separate scene that did that. Okay, so yeah, we're at the Max, and Zack is giving out the jobs and everything, and then they find out that Slater doesn't have a job, and Slater's like, well, hey, I want to be the sportscaster. And they're like, okay. I mean, that I find surprising because if everyone on the team and everyone on the the regulars have a job already, why wouldn't they have given Slater something?
I think it was just to illustrate later on the fact that I don't know, that's weird because everybody has a segment that
Right.
plays to their strengths.
Right. So wouldn't you think they would have given Slater the sportscasting position anyway because he's the big sports guy?
I would think that they just didn't think of it. Like, it makes sense. It obviously makes sense. Slater's the athlete of the group,
Right.
save for a couple episodes where Zack's athletic also.
Right.
Zack is no slouch. He's no pushover. But, Slater is the sports guy. He's the captain of the football team.
Right.
He's a captain of the wrestling team.
Right.
He's got trophies galore. Why wouldn't you not make a sports segment for him? I just think it was just an oversight on everyone's part. Everyone's giving out segments. No one thought of sports. Of course, Slater thinks of sports. So let's give Slater the sports segment. Nobody begrudges him his segment. Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, give Slater a sports segment.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I mean, I'm going to disagree with you because I think it's weird that like when you have a radio station, you think of just about any radio station, especially if they're doing like variety programming and stuff. There's going to be talk radio and everything, and different talking shows and talking points and everything. If you've got Lisa, who is all about gossip. You got Jesse, who's like the news lady. You got Screech, who's just Screech. Slater's thing is sports. So, like, why wouldn't they have just given it to him anyway? But I think they did that so that they would make mention, or like it would be specifically called out because you later find out that he sucks at being a sportscaster.
I agree with that, of the conflict later on.
Yeah.
I like to imagine off camera before it cuts to them, like everybody's kind of chiming in. Lisa, of course, wants the gossip column, so she's like, "Yeah, give me a segment where I can dish the gossip on the school." And Screech is like, "I like creepy things and horror stories. Let me do Screech's Mystery Theater."
Right.
And Jessie spouts her hippie bullshit and like, give me my Greenpeace segment. So I think everybody's chiming in, and Zach's like, "All right, that we've got a full day of work." And
Yeah.
I agree with you that Zack gives out Slater's segment last because Slater just didn't pipe up in time, and of course it alludes to the conflict later on in the episode.
Right. So anyway, we get this all set, and now we go to this little set of previews.
Well, hang on, I hate to cut you off, but Max comes over.
I keep forgetting this. I'm sorry.
This is pivotal. Pivotal to later. So then Max comes over with a plate of sliders. Mini burgers.
Yeah.
Puts it down, and everyone's like, "Max, what the hell? Where's our order? You shrunk that's a great trick. You shrunk the burgers down," because Max is the resident.
Sorry.
As Max is the local restaurateur and magician, so everyone thinks, it's a trick. It's a trick. Max just shrunk our burgers down. Wrong. Max can't afford big burgers, so he shrinks everything down and says, "Sorry guys, I've got high costs. This is gonna have to do before I can make more money and get my restaurant back up in order." And the gang's like, "Oh, that sucks, Max."
Yeah, and this is where you find out kind of what the point of the episode is, and you find out that Max is now in dire straits, and he needs to come up with $10,000 or he's going to lose his restaurant. Of course, as you very well know, the Saved by the Bell crew, there's nowhere else they can hang.
Yeah, they don't put a number on it, though. Max just says, "Yeah, sorry, guys, I got high costs. This is what I got to do to kind of save some money." So the gang's like, "Oh, that sucks, Max." But come to find out later, this guy owes $10,000 in back taxes.
Back
or
rent.
back rent?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but think about it. And I think I might have heard this on another podcast, but you don't really see people spending that much money in his restaurant. It's like kids usually sitting there sipping a soda. Every now and then you'll see them say, "Hey, Max, give me a burger," or something like that. But like, you don't often see kids spending a lot of money in there. So he must not do very well if kids just come and sip fountain drinks all day.
So how much is your rent where now you owe 10 grand? Should this, if it gets to the point where you owe 10 grand, you should have been out of business long ago.
Right. Maybe he's just barely making enough to make ends meet, but, you know.
Still, 10 grand? Is he paying like $400 a month?
It could be $400 a month for a bunch of years, or it could be, you know, $2,000 a month for 5 months.
10 grand is a serious amount of money,
right,
to owe.
Right. So we don't know what the time frame is on his specific situation, but we know that he is basically in dire straits and he's on the verge of losing the max, and that's when the kids decide to step in and see what they can do.
Right. Once they find out that yeah.
Right. So
yes.
let's keep on going here. So we see everybody does a little taste of what they're going to do on their show. And I take issue with Lisa's show, with Lisa's gossip stuff, because, you know, like, I get that, you know, when you want to do gossip columns and everything, you know, like with TMZ and like celebrities and everything, that's one thing. But like when you're dealing with people's personal lives, you know, the last thing I would want is for someone to come over a school radio station and just say like, oh, hey, you know, did you see what so-and-so just did? You know, it's something that someone wanted to keep private. If Lisa got wind of it, she could broadcast it to the whole school. You know, this is like the problem with like social media and stuff. This is their version of it from back then.
Celebrity worship, celebrity gossip, reality TV.
Yeah, like all that's well and good, but like this is kids in high school.
Lisa is TMZ before TMZ.
Yes.
Lisa is the Perez Hilton of this school.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying that it's right.
I'm not either.
But I'm saying it's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, just imagine this. Let's say you had a crush on some girl at Bayside. You know, you go to Bayside and you have a crush on a girl at Bayside.
Kelly Kapowski.
Okay, there you go. So you have a crush on Kelly. Do you want to talk about that with Kelly privately on your own terms, or do you want Lisa to blab it to the whole school because she found out or she overheard you saying something to one of your buddies in the lunchroom?
I see your point.
You know,
I see your
my
point, and I agree with it.
That's, you know, because now Kelly overhears this and she's like, "What, Brian? I don't like Brian." Blah blah blah. Now it creates awkward tension for you, rather than maybe you might have had something nice planned. Maybe you wanted to take her out on a nice date to the drive-in or something. You know, whatever. Lisa's cock blocking every guy that she learns has a crush.
I see your point. I disagree with.
Oh, come on! I just wanted to say the word cock blocking.
Yeah. She has a particular line about Debbie McCormick's hiding her curves through her sweater or something to that effect. I forget the specific line, and it can get nasty.
Yeah,
but
I just feel like Lisa's going to make enemies real fast doing that stuff. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. So the other segments. The gang goes through all of their segments. Jessie does her hippie bullshit. Lisa has her gossip segment.
Screech's Mystery Theater sucks.
It doesn't. Oh, I liked it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
He does great sound effects.
He does great sound effects, but here's my main problem. His voice is not scary at all. Okay? If you want to do some kind of scary thing, or you want something that's supposed to invoke fear, you can't be like, and now he's walking towards the end of the road, and what's gonna happen? You know, like, you know, you take it from someone with voice acting experience. You know, you need to like lower your voice, and as he walks to the side of the road.
I see your point.
Sell me more on it than just sound effects in your high squeaky voice. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was sold. I disagree with you 100%.
You disagree with me?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was a great segment. It was imaginative. He was telling a story. It was as creative as you can get. It's similar to the old timey radio shows that were nothing but that. He was doing sound effects. He was creaking doors and stuff. I was into it. I was into every single one of the segments of that the gang the
Fair
gang,
enough.
except for, of course, Slater's.
Sure.
But
Okay, fair enough. So we agree to disagree. That's fine. So anyway, now we get to Slater's horrible excuse for a sports report.
yeah, it was pretty bad. One thing I noticed also is that the radio station was unchanged. The decor remained the same. There were still the flower power stickers everywhere.
Right.
The posters on the wall were still up. The kids obviously weren't into 80s, 90s bands at the time. They left up the 60s posters of the Beatles, the Stones,
Right.
Jimi Hendrix. Granted, still popular, still influential. How can you not appreciate them? But nothing more modern, nothing more...
Well, they wanted to sell you on the idea that the radio station hadn't been used since the 60s.
True, that I feel that they established that point in the first scene.
So yeah, but the kids didn't hang up their own music people, if that's what you mean, right?
Yes, Kelly Kapowski on the door of her bedroom wall has a poster of George Michael. Wham!
Yeah.
So obviously they're into the music of that time. Why not? That's your space. The gang's running the radio station. Why not make it feel like home? Why not update it for the times?
All right. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Just saying.
Yeah. Okay. So now is this where either Jesse or Lisa runs in and breaks the news about Max being in debt?
This is not it yet. Slater does his awkward radio show and uses a horn after every sentence. It just doesn't fit. And now to the scoreboard. Get it together, Slater.
Bayside 5, Valley 4. Looks like we beat them, huh, math majors? Nice.
So Slater finishes his bit and it's like, "All right, guys, good talk, good segment. I'm out of here." And he leaves, and everybody just trashes him behind his back.
Yeah, and there's this line that keeps getting tossed around, like someone should wave a skunk in front of him.
These are his friends.
Yes.
These are his friends, and first thing, Zack just jumps to get rid of him. Just no constructive criticism, no try to help your friend get better. Let's just cut his time down and, just not say anything to him.
Right.
Not try to bring him up with everybody else.
Right.
And the rest of his friends, Zack is one thing. Zack is a piece of shit for this. But Kelly, Jesse, Lisa, everybody is on Zack's side and doesn't want to say something to Slater.
I mean, I don't know. If it were me, I would much rather have someone come to me and say, "Hey, we want to kind of spice up your sports segment a little bit. Maybe see if you can get into it a little more, or if you just want to, it seems like you're a little nervous. Is there anything I can do to make it a little easier for you?" Or like they didn't do anything to try to improve the situation. All they did was just bash the crap out of him behind his back.
Yeah, their version of improving the situation is cutting his time down and having him say as little as possible.
Right.
Meanwhile, everybody else, their segments expand and get more intricate.
And then you find out later from the reviews from the school paper, everybody else loves it.
Everybody loves it. Everybody hates Slater.
Right. So then, of course, and I wrote that down. Rather than take any kind of criticism or feedback, AC Slater finds out how he feels about it, and then he just goes, "Forget it, I quit."
Yeah.
And he just walks away, and I'm like, that's, for being someone that's like a sports guy, and really, go get him kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm amazed that he has that "I quit" attitude. Why doesn't he just say, "Well, look, if they want a better sports thing, I'm going to give them his better sports thing." Hey guys, help me do a better sports thing. I'm surprised he doesn't have that drive that he does when he's like wrestling or playing football or whatever it is.
Yeah. This is the point that Jesse rushes in and says, "Hey, I was doing some research on a news story. The Max is owned by the school, and the Max owes $10,000 in back rent." And they have to, and they're going to tear it down if it's not paid back.
Yeah, and then this is the point where Zack is like, okay, now we're going to use the power of the airwaves.
I got a question.
Yeah.
The school owns the Max.
Right.
So if the school owns the Max, why does the guy who runs it owe the school taxes? Is he's renting it from the school?
He's leasing the space to run a business. So the Max is in theory on school property, and rather than use the space for something for the school says to this guy Max who wants to run a burger joint, you pay us X number of dollars per month, and you can run this as a burger joint. You know, it's like renting an apartment.
Yeah,
you know, but he's renting it for a business space, and the school board happens to own it.
$10,000 though in back rent.
Yeah.
He should have been kicked out long ago.
I'm going to go with he's probably like 5 months behind on $2,000 a month in rent. Because you figure we're in the late 80s, early 90s, so I mean rent for a room like that or like a building like that is probably going to be about $2,000 a month.
60 days. If you've missed 2 months in a row, you're out. Evict him. How did it get up to $10,000?
Maybe fines. You know, but who knows? That's never covered, and that's way beyond the realm of, what probably would be covered in an episode of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
But all good questions for sure. So now we're in the radio station, and Zack is like, okay, now we got to do something to try to help the Max. And their intentions are good, but they go about it completely wrong.
Yeah, Jesse's first instinct is to jump on the airwaves and accuse the school board of being greedy and irresponsible, which I would disagree with Jesse.
I agree with your disagreement.
Max is irresponsible. I don't know about the school board being greedy. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. Maybe the rent's too high. But goddamn, irresponsible of Max to let it go for this long.
Of course. I mean, and again, without knowing the full backstory, all we can go on is that Max is not paying what he's supposed to pay. So it's not the school board being irresponsible. The school board has a certain overhead to have that space, and Max is in that space. He's responsible for paying the rent, so he's not paying the rent. The school board's got to do what they got to do.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's fair. It's
right.
It's so fair. I'm on the side of the school board in this one.
Yeah, me too.
Jesse runs her yap, and they're all pulled into the office by Belding, given a talking to, and Belding just says, "You're done. You guys are done. I got to talk to the school board and make sure that if this is not a problem for me and my job. You guys aren't going to be on the radio any longer."
Right. So now Belding is like, okay, screw this. I got to go tell the school board that I'm shutting down the radio station, and I got to go plead for my job. And
leaves children in his office.
Right. And then Zack
lets out school, and the next scene, the school paper reviews. The paper comes out, and they review the radio station. And everybody has a great time. Everybody has a great review, except for Slater. Slater has a terrible review.
Right.
And everybody starts freaking out when they read Slater's review. Slater's terrible. Somebody should wave a skunk in front of his face.
Which is pretty freaking mean.
It is pretty mean. I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't.
I don't think he was all that bad.
I don't think he was all that bad.
No.
But everybody, like assholes, just hide it from him.
Right.
And I hate Screech for doing this, but Screech comes up and Slater's like, "Hey, everybody, what's going on?" Everybody's like, "Oh, nothing." And everybody just awkwardly puts the newspapers behind their backs. And Screech comes up and says, "Hey, everybody, read the school newspaper review of our radio station." And then Slater's like, "Yeah, let me read that." So
I thought Screech was like, "Oh, everyone thinks you suck."
Yeah, he does. Does say that.
And then all the other guys hit Screech over the head.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do. But Slater's like, I don't believe it. You guys are just joshing me.
Yeah.
So Slater reads the reviews, and it's just he's rightfully pissed.
Yeah.
Rightfully pissed at everybody.
I would be.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's when he's like, "Forget it, I give up." and which I'm surprised that as an athlete and even like, the son of a military man, that he has that, give up, screw it, I don't care attitude. I would think that he would say, well, hey, if they want a better sports thing, I'm going to give them a better sports thing, whatever.
I would hope that he would have that mentality, but his friends, not only did he get a bad review, but his friends hid it from him and didn't want to stand up and say anything to him. So he's mad, and
they
rightfully
weren't supportive,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. So he storms off, and
this is where Jesse runs up and says, Zack, I found this old newspaper from 1960 whatever.
Right.
And Belding mooned the principal, and they shut down the radio station. So then Zack's like, this is what I need to get Belding on our side.
Yeah. So then they go back into his office.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, just Zack does.
Right. And, he's trying to convince Belding to see their side of things, and, he shows the paper and to Belding, and Belding's like, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
And, Zack is like, look, this is the guy that I need to help with this because, the Max is so important to us and blah, 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 and he's about to walk out the door, and Belding's like, help me find the real me. Like, that conversation shifts paradigms so quickly.
Yeah. First, Zack has all the power, then Belding has all the power, and Zack is just disgusted with the lack of, fortitude.
Or just the lack of empathy from Belding.
Zack makes great points.
He does.
Zack, as such a slimeball that he is, he can be eloquent and can be very convincing when he needs to be.
I agree. And then, Belding is like, hey, help me find the real me. And then, and then Morris is like, all right, welcome home, Bopper. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool because that's one of those moments where you do see that connection between the principal and the kids. And it's like the principal does have the kid's best interest in mind. He is a bit of a pushover, and they do have him wrapped around his have him wrapped around their fingers, but he's still a likable guy.
Yes.
Which is cool. So now we're at the Max.
Yes. So we just cut from Belding's office to the Max. We have a telethon set up. We have bunches of. There's no planning. There's no talk of this. It's just one scene, help us save the Max, and the next scene, telethon. So they just kind of come up with this without really saying anything. It's just, this is what we're going to do. We're going to raise money using the radio station that we're reviving.
Right, and also I should probably make mention here. Who's listening to this radio station? And when are they listening to this radio station? Because if we talked about this during the 90210 thing, and David Silver being the radio DJ host during school hours.
Yeah. So
when the hell are they going to listen to this Bayside radio? Not to mention the people that are down at the Max. Who's home listening? Or okay, you got this. The Max is severely delinquent in their rent, but now we've got to run 4 or 5, 6 phone lines in there to do a telethon.
Yeah, and
because it's not like we could do IP phones, they haven't been invented yet.
Yeah, I mean, granted, there are people in the Bayside area listening to this radio station. How many people that is, it's really hard to say.
Right.
So, and we've got about 6 phone lines plugging in here, and one bit of dialogue suggests that we've got to raise $10,000 by tomorrow, or the Max is kaput.
Right.
They're raising it. It's being turned into a parking lot.
Right.
So we've got to raise $10,000 in, I am assuming, less than 24 hours, because the scene before we were in the middle of a school day in Belding's office. So now we're relying on the gang's bits to bring in money.
Right.
So Lisa does her gossip column.
Well, I like this. She comes on and she's like, "Hey, well, if you want to know the trash, you got to pay the cash."
Yeah, and the phones ring off the hook, as well they should, because I like Lisa's segments as trashy as they are, and she puts it out herself. This is trash, and if
she sells it.
Yeah, she does sell it.
She sells it. And then Screech does his Al Bundy impersonation.
I we had a little exchange during the episode. I didn't think it was bad. I mean, it wasn't great.
I didn't think it was great, but we'll leave it at that.
It wasn't a good Ed O'Neill, but I was. If you're listening to the radio with your eyes closed, you probably see Ed O'Neill in your head.
Yeah, sure. Then Slater calls in, pledges his $100, life savings and everything. And then, another one of those, Slater giving up moments. Zack says, hey, come on down. We could use your help. Slater's like, no, it'll just ruin everything.
Yeah.
Again, just have yourself a little pity party, get over it, and then come down and help. Just be a man, dude.
Which he does, because the next scene, everybody's passed out around the Max.
Right.
Belding is trying to keep it together. He's still spinning records. Everybody is asleep. Everybody's been put down, I assume, by Belding's music choices.
Or just the fact that it's been so long.
Yeah.
I guess I think they might have done that to create the illusion of time, to make the illusion that so much time has passed and now it's much later in the day.
Much later in the day or much later in the night, because...
what I meant to say was much later in the telethon.
Yeah. Because when Slater called in, we're left to assume, because they're all wearing the same clothes, we're left to assume that this is later on in the same school day.
Right.
So we've got to raise this money by tomorrow. Slater is... It appeared to be nighttime when he called in his bedroom.
Right.
So now everybody's passed out, and that's, I would assume, because they've all had a full day of school or work, and now they're at the Max trying to raise money.
Right.
And it's later in the day. I would say maybe 10, 11, 12 at night, maybe 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Who's listening at this time?
Exactly. But also, if this is a school function, aren't there limits to how late a school function can go?
I don't think this is a school function. Well, it would have to be a school function because the radio station
is a school radio station, and it's on school property because the Max is on school property.
Yeah.
So that just definitely the concept of time doesn't seem to exist at Bayside High.
No.
But anyway, everyone's passed out. Slater walks through the door, and Slater's like, "What the hell's going on?" And Zack is all hoarse, and he can't even talk anymore. And, Slater is like, what's going on? I got an extra $25 for my old man, And he grabs the microphone and does this inspirational speech. And everybody wakes up. All of a sudden, the phones start ringing, and everything just turns happy.
Yeah, so Slater does his speech. Phones ring, and then everybody gathers around Slater, and they all do a group high five.
And then roll credits.
So we still have $8,000, 8,400 some to go.
Right. So we need another $1,600 before we know for sure the Max is going to be okay. We don't know whether or not we get it.
No.
We don't know how much farther this telethon goes and whatnot. I mean, it leaves way too many plot holes wide open.
Slater just came through and said a few fancy words, and now everyone's energized again.
Yeah. Just huh? I feel like they realized the episode was running long, and they were like, let's just have Slater come in and end it. Let's just make up an ending that Slater can sell in 30 seconds, and then just call it an episode.
That's what it felt like. The whole Save the Max thing felt tacked on to me.
Yeah, it almost felt like they made the two work together.
Yeah.
But they could have been two separate episodes.
Yes. Slater not being a good newscaster, sportscaster, and the Max needing more money.
Right.
It was just, I couldn't have said it better. They felt like two different plots for two different episodes that they just decided to bring it into one and resolve it.
Yeah. So let's jump right into highlights and lowlights, and then I've got a little special thing for you. But so highlights and lowlights, I'm going to start off and just say one of my highlights is the theme song and the performance of the theme song. I kind of talked about it in the beginning of the episode. Just how this sounded like a bunch of studio musicians just getting together and having a good time.
Yeah.
Because I pick up on that energy, I guess, just being a music producer and being, I guess, having my ear tuned to that kind of thing. I could hear that there was the studio musicians were probably in their 40s recording this for a TV show for kids in their teens, but they still had fun recording that awesome theme song, and it is such an incredible theme song. It's iconic.
Mm-hmm. Very iconic theme song. It's you hear that, you immediately know what show we're talking about.
And now, a dramatic reading by me. When I wake up in the morning, an alarm gives out a warning. I don't think I'll make it on time. By the time I get my books and I give myself a look, I'm at the corner just in time to see the bus fly by. It's all right, 'cause I'm saved by the bell. And the teacher pops a test. I know I'm in a mess, 'cause my dog ate all my homework last night. Riding low in my chair, she won't know that I'm there. If I could hand it in tomorrow, it'll be all right. It's all right, 'cause I'm saved by the bell. Thank you. I've always wanted to do that. Your highlight, sir?
My highlights is the gang going through their initial run through of their radio segments.
Okay.
Jessie doing her hippie Greenpeace segment. Lisa going through her gossip column, and I know this was your least favorite part, but I liked Screech was being creative and making stories and doing sound effects, all vocally. To me, it harkens back to the old radio stories, the old radio plays that you would hear, kind of like War of the Worlds or the old Lone Star, not Lone Star, but the old Lone Ranger stories. I
will give you the creativity. He was definitely he was the most creative.
Yeah.
Of the lot, I will give you that.
Yeah. So the gang was pumping on all cylinders. Everything was going well and great. I like Slater's effort. I liked his effort. His delivery just wasn't there for me. But yeah, that was my favorite part of the episode, because everybody was there doing it.
Yeah,
they were making it together.
I like that.
A creative endeavor by the gang.
Right.
By the gang for the
sure.
school.
Yeah. So low point. I'm gonna say AC Slater was my low point for this episode, because he was being a big baby when it came to the criticism from the school paper and everything like that. He took it like a big baby, and I really expect a lot more from him as a character, because his upbringing, he's an athlete. He when he's out on the team, and you hear him when he talks at like the pep rallies that they have at the Max and everything. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna beat Valley, we're gonna do all this and blah blah blah." But it's like somebody gives him a little criticism. I quit. I forget it. Fuck it. I'm done. I expected a lot more from Slater, and I'm sure that his father would probably agree too. Yeah,
I see where he's coming from. I do. I may not have handled it that way. However, that's a tough thing to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
Your friends hiding your awfulness.
Yeah, I agree. So what's a low point for you?
My low light was the last scene. The pretty much the entire telethon. The suddenness of it. Specifically, though, everyone passing out at the end, Slater coming in and giving his pep talk.
Yeah.
It didn't. that wouldn't have been enough for me. If I was a listener listening at home, what's going to happen with the Max? And I heard this guy, this ass clown, come over the airwaves and just say, come on, guys, we got to save the Max.
Yeah.
It's our hangout. We can't let it go down. Call if you need to. Call right now. I would not call.
No.
I would actually call up and say, you guys were going to get a donation. Now you're not. Bye.
I don't know that I'd be that that
callous.
Yeah, exactly. But I see what you mean.
Yeah, at the entire thing, it's granted the phones were ringing. Everybody kind of woke up and they were roused, but it wasn't that rousing to me.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly unimpressed with it, and the group high five at the end was just ugh.
Yeah.
Kill yourselves.
Yeah. So you wanted to talk earlier about maybe who would win in a fight.
Yes.
We were to pit Screech versus Steve Urkel.
Yes.
So yeah, go ahead and take it away. What do you think?
If we're going for the characters, Steve Urkel versus Screech Powers,
Okay.
I would have to put Steve Urkel over Screech.
Really?
Yes.
Do tell.
Screech just doesn't appear to have any kind of physicality to him. He, the episode we watched where Urkel got drunk and fell down and
Right.
he caught himself on the ledge. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, this character Steve Urkel lends himself to being a more physical person, somebody with more dexterity than Screech. Now,
Interesting.
in real life, Dustin Diamond, the actor who played Screech Powers, was in a show called Celebrity Boxing. There were 2 episodes of it. He was in the second episode where he was pitted against Ron Palillo, who is known as Ron Horshack. He was he was in Arnold Horshack in the show Welcome Back, Kotter.
Okay.
Who had a similar role to Dustin Diamond. He had like a Screech type role in that show.
Okay.
Kind of like a nerdy outsider kind of kid. So in Celebrity Boxing, the match was ended early because Dustin Diamond blacked both of his eyes, and kind of beat the hell out of him.
Wow.
But Jaleel White, knowing the actor Jaleel White, who's much more beefier, physically fit person, I would still put Jaleel White over Dustin Diamond.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I highly recommend you watch the YouTube video of Celebrity Boxing.
Okay.
Dustin Diamond versus Ron Palillo. They ended it in the second round, I think.
Okay. Very interesting. I didn't know that. See, I was thinking that Screech would win because I feel like Steve Urkel's character didn't seem like he stood with much confidence. He always was leaning back and bending his knees and everything. And I feel like Screech actually walked up straight. He didn't walk around like a lanky nerd. He kind of walked around looking like a lanky nerd, but he seemed to have a little more conviction or a little more confidence. So, I would actually put my money on Screech.
Yeah. Dustin Diamond has kept pretty much the same physique that he's had when he was a kid. Of course, he's a man and he's filled out a bit, but he's still tall and skinny. Yeah, that's really all I have on Dustin Diamond. He's really a fine young gentleman.
Yeah, definitely. But
worthy of fame and accolades.
That's right. And speaking of things that are worthy of fame and accolades, that's going to wind it up for this edition of Tune In next week. So really appreciate you guys listening, and definitely want to encourage you to continue to tune in next week,
and then tune in next week again,
and then this.
When I wake up in the morning and the alarm gets out of warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time. By the time I grab my books and I give myself a look, I'm at the corner just in time to see the bus fly by. It's alright, 'cause I'm safe at the bell. If the teacher pops a test, I know I'm in a mess, and my dog ate all my homework last night. riding low in my chair.